Hello everybody, welcome. My name is Alistair, and today we're going to be looking at the Hunter Ranger. Primarily the power setups, as I am trying to make a range-only build for particularly MSH. What I've noticed is, obviously the Warden, we all know it does way more damage, but it's primarily melee. And so I've looked at trying to make a Warden fully ranged and a Hunter fully ranged so we don't have to be close to the boss, because to be honest, a lot of times I'm getting caught by tank busters because the tank's not running them out. Or I'm getting caught by, like on Green Boss with the big root thing that she pops out around her. I'm getting caught by that, unfortunately. Because I can't run out in time and my dodges, either I'm running out of stamina or I'm dodging at the wrong time. And so I've decided to make a range only build. Now granted, this does do a lot less than the Warden's full melee build. But this will keep you out of danger a lot easier and will allow you to run a fully ranged build. So I'll very briefly just skim over my actual build so you can have a little look and possibly have a shot at building it yourself, seeing how it feels. So MSOD helmet and just MSOD arms and chest piece. I am running these weapons primarily just for the stats. We don't get the crit severity that the Warden gets from our feats. So I'm missing 10% crit severity. So getting the ratings from this is actually a very good benefit. However, getting a flat damage gain, unfortunately, requires 13 charges, and you don't get them as quick on Hunter with the current power setups I'm going to be showing you for range only. Boots from MSOD. These I will switch to whatever the team needs that I have. I've got Crystal Assault Slate there, but I will switch to, like Marco's, Meteor Swarm, even Zealous Blast Scepter, Dragon Bone, Demogorgon's Reach, sorry, Dragon Bone Blades, that sort of stuff. Combat Advantage trousers, flat damage shirt. The recharge speed on the Warden, you don't notice as much. The recharge speed definitely really helps from the Shroomwood set on the Hunter because of how long it takes to actually do the things you want to do. It's a very slow pace compared to the Warden. The Warden is just fast paced. The Hunter can be a little bit faster pace if you're strict stance switching, but I'm not. This is a range only build. And then obviously the Rotsteel Coil of Blight and the Bloodlet Veil. I will quickly skim over to Boons. Campaign Boons, you can see here. Just offensive, whatever I need. A few defensive, some movement speed, obviously. Lingering Medicine, I think is kind of underrated. It's very useful when it does proc. And then I've got Forte, action points, recharge speed, control bonus. And up here I've got Bloodlust, I've got Life Lessons, and I've got Blessed Advantage. Companions, I am now rocking 4 flat damage companions on the back page, plus Raptor, as you see here. Obviously sacrificing a few stats here and there. On my Warden build, I don't sacrifice that now. And that's all because I now have Celestial Insignias, and that's allowing me to unlock more flat damage gain. As you see here, that's what I'm running. I run Etrine, this build's around Etrine. And skimming along, Infernal Pounce does tons of damage. I'm running Providence, however, I will run quick action if I'm struggling, if I'm on a boss where I don't have a high uptime of casting, being that I need 100% of my action points back to use my snipe. I will use quick action if I need to. However, Providence does give me that little bit more damage, and yeah, Infernal Pounce is just the best at the moment for damage in single target. Gladiator Gal for movement speed. Down here, Guardian Spirit for hit points. Bit of survivability. Artificers for helping getting into your artifact rotation if you're a little bit out of sync with the rest of the party. Tacticians for cooldowns. Cavalries for cooldowns, allowing you to cast more encounter powers within your rotation. And mostly I'm running brutalities, skills, and aggressions for my insignias. So the important thing that we've been looking at is powers. Now, for powers, the main one you're going to be using is Aim Shot, Aim Strike. If you're near the boss, you can put Aim Strike on and then run out. and that does give that damage over time for 10 seconds, which is very nice to actually just have that little bit of damage over time. It is negated by one of our feats, however, it's still a little bit of damage. That goes nicely with careful attacks. Hunter's teamwork, it's nice to put on an ad to give you a bit of survivability back. However, it's not vitally important, and careful attack does add a 15 magnitude per hit, which can be very nice if you're close by. But if you're running and you need AoE shots, then split shot's gonna be best. I don't like the way it casts. I wish they had electric shot on the hunter, but they don't, so split shot will have to do. Down here, I'm running commanding shot. Unfortunately, doesn't get cooldown by any of your mount abilities. Long strider shot in my B, and constricting arrow in my Y. We're not going to talk about the opposite side too much, because while you have Stagheart that gives temporary hit points, you have gushing wounds that does damage over time, which again, you can apply that before an artifact call to give you more damage if you're in melee, and Steel Breeze to give you stamina back and to do a little bit of damage around you. I'm not going to talk too much about those. Mostly the damage increase at 520 magnitude, 650 magnitude, and 520 magnitude. Mostly we're using Snipe. I've currently got Forest Ghost on just for a bit of survivability, because you get to go invisible, enemies can't see you, you move faster. It's just for those phases where the DPS is by itself, that can be very, very handy. However, Disruptive Shot in combination with More Than Disruptive goes very nicely. Slasher's expertise, brilliant to combine with the daily power. Slasher's Mark, however, we're not running melee, and so we're running ranged, therefore we're going to run Snipe. Disruptive Shot, you can use this in the build. It does fit if you use it one shot where you normally would put the daily power, and then another 3 shots right at the end when you're waiting for commanding shot to come back. Unfortunately, commanding shot's not coming back before the end of the 10-second artifact call window, so it's a bit frustrating. But Disruptive Shot can be good. It overall gives you less damage than Snipe, but it does increase your damage by another 10%. Alright, down here, Seeker's Vengeance or Aspect of the Falcon. Aspect of the Falcon is great if you can hit them from the side, but you can't hit from the back. You're going to gain the extra damage. However, you have to be within 25 feet, which is not ideal. And then for Seeker's Vengeance, you have to be behind them, but you can be any range behind them and still get you 10% damage. Mainly we're looking at is Crushing Roots. This is the bread and butter for the hunter, and it will be for us in this build. Long Shot, this is where it really becomes important. This is giving you 50% more damage on your encounter powers. That is what we're building into, because we're doing range only. Thorn Roots for regular enemies, basically for your Thorn Roots. You're dealing 75 magnitude every second that they're in. When hitting control immune targets, you're gaining an extra 225 magnitude. That is really, really good. That's going to really help us with our overall damage. Predator, using counter powers, which will cast Prey, allowing you to do 10% more damage on them. And then Forest Bond, when you apply Strong Grasping Roots, you reduce your cooldowns by 10% for Strong Grasping Roots, so that's a 20% cooldown reduction. And then we've already spoken more than Disruptive. So looking at our consumables, just so people have an idea, I'm using Flask of Potency, Squash Soup, I am using Prime Rib, and I'm using Wildstorm Elixir. I would usually put this into Accuracy, but that takes a little bit of time. And Scroll of Fate and Power, but most of the time I will just use Movement Speed. I'll pop Movement Speed on if I'm actually in the run, as we're getting lots of grip buffs and stuff. So the stats on this build, they're not perfect, but they are better than nothing. So starting off, I'm just going to do my aim shot as my main at will. Remember, if I need to, I can do my split shot, as you see here. But mostly it's just this at will. And then your encounter powers are literally just 1, 2, 3. That's simple. And then your rotation is that simple. You're going to go artifact, 1 encounter. Sorry about being cold. 1 encounter, 2 encounter, 3 encounter. Belt, daily, mount, one encounter, two encounter, and then hopefully third encounter, depending on how much recharge speed you have. So, going into the artifact call. Immediately, pop, 1, 2, 3. I did the wrong daily power. Trust me to do the wrong daily power. Oh, I'm so daft. But as you see there, yeah, the Forest Ghost gave me a whole ton of movement speed. Now, I could have continued with it. In fact, while I'm waiting for my cooldown on my artifact, I do also occasionally get asked to do a trapper rotation and on ads, if the ads are particularly an issue. And that is just hindering strike and hindering shot, constricting arrow, steel breeze, and cordon of arrows, plant growth. And that is literally just for doing my damage over time and helping out with overall AoE damage. But it's not primarily ranged. Now, you can obviously do a lot more ranged stuff with it. Let's see there. There we go. And we should almost be back now. There we go. And switch back to my single target. There we are. Oh, more cooldown. There we go. So, going into your artifact call, you're just going to go artifact 1, 2, 3, daily, belt mount, 1, 2, and then at wills until you can get your stags off. And round about getting 50% of this boss's hit points currently. Now, a Warden would get between 60 to 70, close to 70% of the hit points off. So a sizable difference, but I am fully ranged with this build, allowing me to be as far away from the boss as I want to be, keeping me safe. And that's the primary thing. Stats, 99. As you saw there, I got to 84, 86. This combat advantage got to 110. Crit severity will be slightly overcapped. And my crit strike, I need a tiny little sliver more crit strike. But overall, as you see there, that is my Hunter Ranger build. If you've got any questions, please just give me a shout in the comments. If you want to see any build videos, any power sub videos, if just any videos in general, please just put them in the comments. Any suggestions I'll listen to. I do play every single class, most of them up at endgame level, but some of them I don't play at endgame level. So if you want to know anything, just give me a shout, let me know. I hope you enjoy this, and I'll catch you next time.